Before crude oil transformed economies, before gold dominated headlines, there was another resource that shaped Africa's global importance: palm oil. Long before it became a global commodity, palm oil was deeply rooted in African life, culturally, economically, and spiritually. The oil palm tree, native to West and Central Africa, has grown across the region for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence suggests that communities were using palm oil as far back as 5,000 years ago. In traditional societies across what is now Nigeria, Ghana, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, palm oil was more than cooking oil. It was medicine, trade currency, ritual substance, and a symbol of hospitality. The bright red oil extracted from the fruit of the oil palm tree was used in soups, stews, and ceremonial dishes. It was applied to skin and hair. It was used in spiritual rites and traditional healing. Every part of the palm tree had value: the oil, the kernel, the leaves, the sap, even the trunk. But palm oil's story changed dramatically in the 18th and 19th centuries. During the transatlantic slave trade, European ships often stocked palm oil as food for enslaved Africans during the Middle Passage. It was durable, calorie-dense, and familiar to West African captives. Then, in the 19th century, as Britain and other European powers began abolishing the slave trade, they sought alternative economic relationships with West Africa. Palm oil became central to what they called legitimate commerce. Why was palm oil suddenly so valuable? The Industrial Revolution. In Europe, palm oil was used to lubricate machinery in factories. It was used in soap production, candles, and later in margarine. Demand exploded. Regions like the Niger Delta became major exporters. Coastal trading networks expanded. African middlemen and local producers engaged in growing trade with European merchants. In fact, the importance of palm oil trade was one of the key reasons Britain increased its political and military involvement in the Niger Delta, eventually leading to colonial control of territories that became modern Nigeria. Palm oil was not just a commodity. It reshaped political power. Some African states grew wealthy through palm oil exports. Others experienced conflict as control over trade routes became strategic. European companies established trading posts along rivers. Treaties were signed, often unequal, that later paved the way for formal colonization. By the late 19th century, palm oil had become one of West Africa's most significant exports. However, colonialism altered traditional production systems. African smallholders who had managed palm groves for generations were increasingly pushed into serving global industrial demand. Infrastructure like railways and ports was built primarily to extract resources, including palm oil, for European markets. Ironically, although the oil palm tree originated in Africa, large-scale industrial plantations later flourished more successfully in Southeast Asia, particularly Malaysia and Indonesia, after the tree was exported there during colonial times. Today, Indonesia and Malaysia dominate global palm oil production, but the tree's roots remain African. In modern Africa, palm oil remains essential. In Nigeria alone, it is a staple ingredient in dishes like egusi soup, banga soup, and jollof rice. In Ghana, it defines traditional stews. In Central Africa, palm oil is foundational to daily cooking. Beyond food, palm oil supports rural livelihoods. Millions of smallholder farmers depend on it. Women play a major role in harvesting, processing, and selling palm oil in local markets. Traditional processing methods remain widespread. Harvesting the fruit bunches, boiling them, pounding or pressing to release the oil, skimming the bright red liquid, and clarifying it over heat. The process is labor-intensive but deeply embedded in community life. At the same time, modern plantations and processing mills exist across West and Central Africa, aiming to revive the continent's competitiveness in global palm oil markets. Palm oil's history in Africa is layered. It is a story of indigenous knowledge, communities mastering cultivation and extraction long before global demand surged. It is a story of global capitalism, how industrial Europe reshaped African economies around resource extraction. It is a story of colonial expansion, how economic interests led to political domination. Palm oil is more than an ingredient. It is history in liquid form. If you enjoyed this exploration of Africa's rich past, like this video, subscribe for more powerful African history stories, and share to keep our heritage alive. Africa's story matters, and we're just getting started.